It's Toby from Heavyweight MMA today with UFC fighter Colby Thicknesse. We're going to chat about a few fights. How are you, brother?
Good, brother. Thank you for having me on, Toby.
Bro, good to see you. Good to have that in front of your name, UFC fighter, bro. Are you getting recognised these days, or anything changed?
Probably getting recognised a little bit more around like the local area, and then obviously when you go to other MMA events and that sort of thing. But nothing too crazy yet. It's also nice to be introduced as a UFC fighter when you have a win on your record, so I don't feel like so much of a fraud. Everyone's like, "Oh, my mate fights in UFC. Like he hasn't won yet, but he fights through him." At least I got that win out of the way now.
True. You got to get at least one W to legitimize yourself as a UFC fighter.
As a UFC fighter, exactly right. Spot on.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I wanted to chat about the big fight coming up, UFC 322, Jack Della versus Islam Makhachev. But that interesting one. I was just thinking to myself, a way of asking you, and I was thinking, let's say your last fight, you won a fight bonus of 50 grand, but it was a stipulation in your contract that you had to bet on this fight, 50 grand US. What would you bet?
I'd go JDM, probably fourth round finish, I reckon. TKO.
It's interesting, man, because there's people with a lot of different opinions. I reckon I kind of expected everyone just to say Islam straight up, but then I've been watching heaps of predictions. A lot of people are banking on Della Maddalena, and the odds are like slightly swayed in Islam's favour, but it's not as strong as I kind of imagined. What do you reckon? What do you got faith in him for? What do you expect from Jack?
I think the biggest thing is, firstly, he's paying $3, which is great. Yeah. Great for an Aussie to be paying that much. But on a serious note, I can speak from experience because I was a part of the Islam bulk camp. Obviously, the second one didn't go to plan, but there was also 10 days notice and big weight cut and everything like that. But that first one, I was able to see, I always get to see it, but it was really good to see. I got to see how Volk did when the fight was in discussions. I was there when he came back from somewhere. It was when him and Islam did the face-off in the cage, and Volk flew back, I think it was from Abu Dhabi, and he got to Oz like the next day or whatever. He came in straight off the flight from there, and he's like, I've got that like fucking fire under my belly. So I was able to see where he was at that stage of the career, his skill level and everything. And I was able to witness and be a part of everything seen where he got to that end of the first Makhachev camp, then obviously seeing how the fight played out. And the level of growth and adjustments he made in his grappling game to deal with and nullify a lot of what Islam did was like crazy. Like you also saw the results for it. And it was purely because of that training camp with Craig and all the bodies and how long he had to prepare and things like that. So where I'm going with this is I've seen the effects that it can have on the person who gets the benefit of it, having Craig and everybody else involved when they're purely game planning for a guy like Islam. And Craig's had the chance to do it twice now. Obviously, first fight, second fight, and now he gets to do it a third time with Jack. And seeing how Jack already had so many natural good instincts and abilities with his get-ups and even his takedown defense, like people will say like, oh, Bilal didn't try and shoot, but he couldn't shoot. Like Jack's not going to stand in front of you and throw big 4-punch combo, stay flat-footed and let you come underneath and grab his hips or anything like that. So I think it's more just seeing the effect that Craig had on Volk as a featherweight, going up against a lightweight, being able to nullify his wrestling, being able to finish on the fifth round on top punching him. Then you imagine Islam has to do that bigger jump from a 70 to 77 with Jack being a natural 77 kilo guy. So I think a lot of the strength advantages and that Islam might have had against Volk, I don't think there were many, but maybe a couple of positions he could use a bit more strength and the technique to overwhelm Volk in some of the positions. I think he won't have with Jack. And then knowing Jack's natural ability plus the ability that Craig brings in, I think it's going to be a pretty hard time for Islam. I can see Islam getting him down a couple of times. Like, it would be crazy to think Jack's going to take him down, but I think Islam won't be able to just sort of hold him down in several positions, say what he does to like Oliveira or something like that. I think it's going to be a very different story.
Yeah, man. Islam as well, I think he's going to be a lot more desperate than Bilal to get it down because obviously, as Camp will know, Jack's strengths in the stand-up are pretty full-on, especially when he's stepping up in weight. And I expect him to be pretty desperately trying to get the takedowns. He even looked a little bit desperate in a couple of those fights when he was trying to take down, like against Poirier, and they looked almost desperate, like he was diving for it, you know?
Yeah, exactly right. And I think that even something as little as Jack striking with his ability to switch your stances, if somebody's switching stances on you, obviously Islam's going to be able to take him down no matter what stance he switches on. He's trained for that. But it also adds an extra layer in it that you can switch your stance on an exit or something like that and just give that half a second hesitation and things like that. Where I think someone like Opora, he has good takedown defense, but he's also fighting out of that one stance and he could still give someone trouble like Islam. So I think when you have a Jack defending from both stances whilst fighting from both stances, I think that also really increases like his chances like stuffing with takedowns more.
Yeah, bro. So you're saying, do you say 4th round?
Yeah, I reckon, 4th round,
4th round KO. So he's got to get through a bit of the grappling exchanges and then land a bit later. Yeah, man. I did an AI prediction.
Okay.
It says Makhachev via submission in round 3. So let's see how that goes. We all want Jack to win, and I think a lot of people around the world are kind of hoping that he'll beat Makhachev. Let's see how we go, bro. Another fight I wanted to talk about quickly: Cody Haddon versus Malcolm Wellmaker.
Yes.
Cody and you were actually supposed to fight at one point, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, it was never officially locked in, but he won the belt on Hex, and that night I became like number 1 contender. But then I think he got injured, and then maybe I got injured after him or something like that. And then I think he ended up getting a contender series. But yeah, we were slated to go before his contender series fight.
Yeah, would have been interesting, man. But now, so he stepped into the UFC. He's looking good. He's very slick with the hands and good overall fighter. Their gym's on a good trajectory with Cullen just getting that mad knockout. But Malcolm Wellmaker's a bit of a problem in terms of, I would say, power, like natural power. Good with the leg kicks, good with single punches, but he's not as tight and tidy as someone like Cody in the stand-up. What do you think?
Yeah, I think also he has a good, like, snappy front kicks. But like you said, I think Malcolm's biggest weapon, obviously, is just his power. He's able to put people out. But I always say this, like, it's all well and good to be a power puncher, but you have to be able to actually land on the person in front of you. And, like, no disrespect to guys makers put away, like, the Chris Munoz and Cameron Simons and that, but, like, Cody's, like, level above them without a doubt. Even just his boxing pedigree from, like, being Golden Gloves, everything from such a young age, he's well ahead of a lot of the people, to be honest, not just for guys over back in the division, people towards the top of the division, with his hands, his head movement, his body shots and that. So I think if Wellmaker thinks that Cody's just going to try to wrestle to beat him, I think he's probably in for a pretty rude shot, because I actually back Cody to beat him with a feet. Obviously, you have to be careful against big power punchers like that, but also someone who throws big one-off shots. If you can slit, roll, evade, jam, whatever you want to do to that shot, and you can put 3 on them, they very quickly go away from like a scary power puncher to someone who you can see shots coming to start sort of unloading your own shots and sort of wearing them down that way.
Yeah, bro, it's funny you said about him being a level above. Exactly what I wrote to Ramel Lewis, Joey's coach, yesterday. I said I was watching Wellmaker, and I think Colby's just too slick, and his level's above in the stand-up, especially the punching. I can see him landing, like you said, like 3 or 4 to 1 for Wellmaker in the hands. It's just like you said, he's got to get out of the way of those big shots, because they'll floor anyone in that division. So yeah, that's the question. It's like slick boxing technique, overall fighter against someone who's just a powerful, natural sort of dude. His leg kicks were looking good too recently as well. So yeah.
And that's the thing, it's exciting, because like we're saying this, but like you don't know, like Cody might come out and prove what we're saying is correct, but then Malcolm might be able to make the adjustments, because like I guess we've seen Cody tested where he fought Usyk. He had a tough fight against Dan Aguilera, who actually like we cornered against Ultimate Fighter, so I knew what level Dan was at. We haven't really, not that Wellmaker's been given layup fights, like he's fought decent guys in the UFC, but obviously just no one to that level of opposition. So it's almost, I'm curious to see, just because it's in my division, how he sort of deals when, like, obviously he's going to hit Cody hard, but Cody's not going to go away off the first punch or anything like that. Like, so I'm more keen to see what adjustments Wellmaker can make and what he can do. And if he's able to make them adjustments, we might see like a 3-round dogfight where it's just the boys banging it out, mixing with grappling and everything like that. Or I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cody put him away like end of the first, start of the second, where he just steals all the momentum off Wellmaker, and Wellmaker can't sort of fight his way back into it.
Yeah, bro. And you mentioned before Cameron Simon, man. I like that guy. He's a good fighter. He's fun to watch, like very active and pretty well rounded as well. It's a shame to see him get dropped hard with that. It looked like a looping sort of hook or something, right?
Yeah, because like no, don't mean he's not level. Like skillfully, he's good, but just almost like even with a Payton Talbot, almost looked like they were just able to like big brother him. I guess like they were able to just like all of their shots had a bit more power. Like the kicks, like Cameron would kick, it would slap. Talbot or Wellmaker would kick and it'd be like heavy thud sort of thing. So I think I'm not what sure comes with that sort of thing, but yeah, skillfully he's good, but I think he just didn't have like a sort of pop and like that solidness to his shots.
Yeah, true. Bro, one other fight I wanted to chat about was a next event. It's on the 23rd of November. It's a UFC fight night. Dan Hooker versus Arman Tsarukyan, man. It's an interesting one, man. It's like Dan says. Dan reckons that Arman's probably better at him at jiu-jitsu, better at him in wrestling, trains more than him, has proper diet, spends 100K. But Dan reckons he's going into with a shot because it's a fist fight. He goes, it's a fist fight and I love to fight. He said, Arman's doing it for popularity, or I'm doing it because I like to fight. So it's interesting matchup, eh? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting mindset from Dan, which is like that's also what makes him so dangerous, I guess, because you have a guy who's just like coming out like, no, I'm probably not going to be able to out-wrestle him for 5 rounds. Is it 3 or 5?
It has to be 5, right? Main event.
Surely, you think so. They want to put. It is the main event. Yeah. I'm the one. I thought it was co-main for some reason. It is. You have a main event. And like. That mindset can make you very dangerous. Like, all right, take me down. I'm just going to get back up and punch your head in. Like, trying like knees and everything like that. And there's something to be said for that. And I think Arman's like has that skill advantage in the wrestling, obviously. But it's also like Dan's a very good anti-wrestler. He's got good submission threats in that. And I don't think, obviously, it's just more of a casual in that. But like, they just think Arman's going to just shoot double legs on Dan and ragdoll him for 25 minutes. I think then people are in for a real rude shock. I think Dan's going to stuff a lot of his takedowns. I think when Arman's getting him down, he's going to be getting damage for it with elbows and knees and like little dirty boxing. I even think when Dan's on his back, he's going to be like scrambling to get up and trying to slice him with elbows if he's keeping his head in bad positions and things like that. So I think Dan's going to make it like a real sort of dogfight, I guess. And I think the more it leans into that style of fight, the more it favours Dan, especially over the 5 rounds where he can really start stabbing in them teeps and the knees to the body and things like that.
Yeah, what you said about the teeps, man. I was watching Arman's fights and the teeps seem to be a good weapon against him. I think that's not a bad bet. Teeps straight up the centre, hit him on the chin him maybe. Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like Arman in a stand-up, I don't know. When I'm looking at it, I'm seeing like a slight higher level to Dan's striking. Like, of course, Arman's good as well, but I think there's a slightly more complexity to Dan's sort of stand-up game. So see if that helps him. Yeah,
it definitely should. Plus, I think Dan's purely just his activity in that too can help in things like this. Because when was Arman's last one? It was the Oliveira split decision, which was like 18 months ago or something like that.
Yeah.
So even then, like Dan knows, like technically, like on books, like they're just feeding Dan to Arman. So Dan's like, all right, fuck this. I got no pressure, man. I'm just going to go out and fight. Whereas Arman's meant to be the next guy to fight Ilya or Islam. There's all this pressure on him. He hasn't fought for X amount of time. He's missed weight before. So I think there's a lot more riding on him, which can get in his own head. And Dan sort of just able to just be free and just go out and like fight his own fight.
True. Dana said it's the contender fight too, so it's a big one. It's kind of another chance for Dan to sneak in there. So
imagine that Dan sleeps in and sleeps Ilya and get the redemption arc for Volk. How good would that be?
You see, a funny point is I talked to Dan about this one, and I said if you could choose any way to fight him, how would it be? And Dan said he'd have a coffee in the morning and then go out in the backyard and scrap him in a 1 minute scrap style, you know.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
Yeah. Cool, bro. So what's the plan for you, bro, for your next fight? Whatnot? Have you got any ideas of when you'd like to be in? I'd imagine you'd be hoping to get on the next Sydney card.
Yeah, I was hoping for the Sydney card, but obviously I got that knee injury now, which is sort of delayed that. So I don't think February is realistically an option. Like I'm pretty much fine to train everything except wrestling and grappling, but there's a lot of movements like kneeling, and penetration steps and stuff I can't do on my knee just yet. So it's all right. I've been able to train around that. So I've been doing lots of boxing, sparring and that, which is, it's annoying because I obviously wanted to get on Sydney for February, but realistically, like one of my weakest points is my hands. So having this extra time to improve purely my hands before I jump back into a fight camp is only going to be a positive, zooming out, longer picture sort of thing. So honestly, not sure. They said this injury could take up to like 14 weeks because like a bunch of microfractures and shit in the knee. So sort of a slow process, but I'm not out. It's just kicking and kneeling. I can't do on one leg. So it just makes grappling awkward. So depends how that heals. If it heals up quick, hopefully maybe end of March, start of April. If it takes a bit longer, we might be looking at like the end of April, start of May sort of thing.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said. I think it's a good thing, like, in a way, if you make the most out of it. Like, funnily enough, I was talking to Dom Marfan this morning, and he said that he had an injury and it was forcing him to train a different area as well, and he's training southpaw a lot more and that, and it's kind of cool, right? Like, that you take the bad thing, whatever it is, whatever injury, and then turn it into something positive by focusing on what you can focus on. It's a good opportunity to just by fate, you know?
Yeah, exactly right. And like realistically, like I might do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 grappling sessions a week. And like my grappling's like, obviously it's not as good as it could be. My grappling's at a pretty decent level for where I'm at right now. It's not like I need to do it. So if I'm forced to substitute these 6 grappling sessions for the boxing sessions, that's only going to exponentially make me a better sort of all well-rounded fighter. So I'm sort of keen to see the improvements I see in my hands when I do get back to the full MMA training.
Yeah, perfect, bro. All right, man, looking forward to seeing you back in action. Hope it all heals well and that, bro, and we'll see you next time.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, bro. Cheers.
No, hey,
sorry the other fuckers didn't come, bro, but that was the plan. Dogs. It's going to go ahead. I want to talk with those guys because they're good cunts, and it'll be a good little group to chat. So I'll hit you up again next time, bro. And
yeah, for sure, bro. I'll be keen for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for showing.
No worries, brother. Take care, Toby.
Bye-bye.